Magandang umaga po. Good morning to all of you. The 8th hearing on proposed Senate Resolution number 826 is hereby called to order. The Chair recognizes the presence of Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Senator Trillanes. So before I call on the Director General to recognize the resource persons and witnesses present this morning, I'd like to issue a resolution on the pending jurisdictional challenges. This subcommittee is in receipt of a letter from Senator Chupisto Gingona III, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations, the Blue Ribbon Committee, dated October 7, 2014, referring the following to this subcommittee for proper resolution. 1. Manifestation with motion of Mayor Jejomar Erwin S. Binay Jr., dated October 1, 2014, challenging the jurisdiction of this subcommittee to conduct hearings on PS Resolution number 826. Number 2, letter on behalf of Ms. Ebing Baloloy, dated October 1, 2014, challenging the jurisdiction of this subcommittee to conduct hearings on PS Resolution number 826. Number 3, letter of Attorney Pio Kenneth I. Dasal, Legal Officer of the City of Makati, dated October 2, 2014, on behalf of the department heads of the City of Makati, stating that they are joining the jurisdictional challenge of Mayor Binay. Number 4, letter of Ms. Marjorie De Vera, dated October 2, 2014, stating that she is joining the jurisdictional challenge of Mayor Binay. And number 5, letter on behalf of Professor Tomas B. Lopez, dated October 1, 2014, challenging the jurisdiction of this subcommittee to conduct hearings on PS Resolution number 826. Although all of these letters were addressed to Senator Chupisto Gingona III, they were referred to the subcommittee for proper resolution. The issues raised in these letters are substantially the same, as in fact the letters of Attorney Dasal and Ms. De Vera merely state that they are joining the jurisdictional challenge of Mayor Binay. They shall therefore be resolved jointly. As the chairman of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee stated in his referral letter, Section 20 of the Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation gives the subcommittee plenary power, except the power to punish for contempt, and therefore authorizes the subcommittee to resolve issues on jurisdictional challenge. The letters mentioned, therefore, were erroneously filed with and addressed to the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee and should have been instead filed with this subcommittee. Furthermore, Mayor Binay and Ms. Baloloy had already previously filed with this subcommittee on September 25, 2014, a jurisdictional challenge on the same grounds as those contained in the letters mentioned earlier. The earlier jurisdictional challenge had already been denied by the subcommittee, and the letters of Attorney Dasal and Ms. De Vera state that they merely join the jurisdictional challenge of Mayor Binay. The Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation provide in Section 2 that only one challenge on the same ground shall be permitted. So on this ground alone, the jurisdictional challenges may already be properly denied. However, even if a motion for reconsideration, which these letters essentially are, is prohibited by the Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, the subcommittee will be lenient and will take a second look at the grounds mentioned in the letters of Mayor Binay and on behalf of Ms. Baloloy in the higher interest of justice. The jurisdictional challenge filed by Mayor Binay is based on his allegation that the ongoing hearings of the subcommittee relative to proposed Senate Resolution number 826 are not in aid of legislation, and that the investigation is in fact violative of the rights of the persons appearing therein. This was substantially reproduced in the letter on behalf of Ms. Baloloy and that on behalf of Professor Lopez. As stated above, as stated earlier, Attorney Dasal and Ms. De Vera merely joined the challenge interposed by Mayor Binay. To resolve this sole issue, it is but proper to state what the jurisdiction of the Blue Ribbon Committee extends to. According to Section 21 of Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution, the Senate or any of its respective committees may conduct inquiries in aid of legislation in accordance with its duly published rules of procedure. In accordance with this constitutional provision, the Senate adopted the rules of the Senate and the rules of the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigation. These rules grant the Blue Ribbon Committee jurisdiction over all legislative matters relating to, including investigation of, malfeasance, misfeasance, and non-feasance in office by officers and employees of the government, its branches, agencies, subdivisions, and instrumentalities. The hearings of this subcommittee were initiated by proposed Senate Resolution number 826, authored by Senator Antonio F. Trillanes IV, which resolves, among others, and I quote, to direct the Committee on Accountability of Public Officials and Investigations to investigate in aid of legislation the alleged 1.601 billion peso overpricing of the 11-story New Makati City Hall parking building, the reported overpricing of the 22-story Makati City Hall building at the average cost of 240,000 pesos per square meter, as well as related anomalies purportedly committed by former and current officials of the City of Makati, and to recommend amendments to the appropriate bidding and procurement laws and policies to ensure the proper use of public funds. Clearly, therefore, the subcommittee has jurisdiction to investigate and conduct hearings on proposed Senate Resolution number 826. Furthermore, in relation to the scope of the power of the Senate to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation, the Supreme Court has stated, and I quote, in Sabio versus Gordon, GR number 174340, dated October 17, 2006. Notably, the 1987 Constitution recognizes the power of investigation, not just of Congress, but also of any of its committee. This is significant because it constitutes a direct conferral of investigatory power upon the committees, and it means that the mechanisms which the houses can take in order to effectively perform its investigative function are also available to the committees. Verily, the court reinforced the doctrine in Arnault that the operation of government, being a legitimate subject for legislation, is a proper subject for investigation, and that the power of inquiry is coextensive with the power to legislate. As Mayor Binay admitted in his jurisdictional challenge, he already voluntarily appeared before this subcommittee on August 20, 2014. He also admitted that in 3 subsequent hearings on August 25, September 4, and September 11, 2014, he made all department heads of the local government of Makati City attend our hearings. Mayor Binay never raised any challenge to the jurisdiction of the subcommittee at that time or at those times. The jurisdictional challenge should have been brought at the earliest opportunity, as in fact, according to the rules of the Blue Ribbon Committee, a jurisdictional challenge must be raised and resolved before proceeding with the inquiry. Stated in a different way, when Mayor Binay raised his jurisdictional challenge on September 25, 2014, the inquiry had already started and it had already progressed. It was actually Mayor Binay who, during the first hearing of this subcommittee, introduced the concepts of world-class and green that he dictated the agenda for the subsequent hearings of the subcommittee. It is also the personal opinion of the chairman of the subcommittee that the jurisdictional challenge may only be raised by a member of the committee. It cannot be raised by a resource person, and certainly not by any department head who is not even the subject of any investigation of malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance. The rights of these resource persons are those enumerated in the Bill of Rights and may be invoked only when a question is propounded to them as provided for in Section 19 of the Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation. The witness cannot refuse to testify or answer questions before the objectionable question is even asked. The fact that several ideas have resulted from these hearings for the amendment of existing procurement laws, laws on accountability of officers, and even on the rules of the Commission on Audit, on what are allowable expenses in the construction of public buildings, belie the allegation that the ongoing hearings are not in aid of legislation. Some specific legislative proposals stemming out of this investigation are the following. Number 1, mandatory videotaping of public bidding processes. Number 2, rotation of Commission on Audit personnel to prevent familiarization and camaraderie with the personalities being audited. Number 3, rotation of the members of the Bids and Awards Committee to prevent the same evil being prevented with the COA. Number 4, necessity of a law to define when there is a presumption of overpricing in a government project. Number 5, one project, one ordinance. Simply put, big-ticket infrastructure projects must be governed by specific ordinances authorizing their construction, complete with budget allocation as well as plans to be attached to the ordinance. These are just some of the ideas as of this date. Wherefore, the foregoing premises considered, the jurisdictional challenges raised by Mayor Jejomar Erwin S. Binay Jr., Ms. Ebeng Baloloy, Attorney Pio Kenneth Dasal, for himself and on behalf of all the department heads of the City of Makati, Ms. Marjorie De Vera, and Professor Tomas Lopez, are all denied for lack of merit. So ordered. May I call on
Mr. Chair.
Senator Cayetano?
Mr. Chair, just to agree with your ruling, the ruling that you reiterated, let me just point this out, no? Kaya po minsan nasisira ang pangalan o reputasyon ng mga abogado. Kasi maraming abogado po, or meron pong mga abogado na yung gabi gustong gawing araw, yung araw gustong gawing gabi. Isa na po siguro dito ang Vice President Binay at ang kanyang mga abogado sapagkat nung panahon ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, tayo pong tatlo mismo, ni Senator Trillanes, kayo po, Chairman, Senator Pimentel, magkakasama po tayo sa kalye na nagrarally, doon po sa Hello Garci scam, sa ZTE, sa fertilizer scam, sa swine scam, sa cash gift giving scam, no? Na yung po 5 hearing na aking pong sa Hello Garci po, I was involved in the House of Representatives, yung 4 po bilang chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee. Nung sa Hello Garci po, kasabay din nito yung wetting scam, tayo po nagrarally po sa kalye mismo ng Makati na sinasara ni dating Mayor, ngayon Vice President Binay. At ang sinasabi nun, dapat ang mga witnesses ay lumabas pagka may mga whistleblower na kasama sa mga scam na to, ay lumabas, atin niyayakap, atin tinutulungan. Nung lumabas si Jun Losada na isang insider na alam ang pinanggagawa ng gobyerno, niyakap, prinotektahan natin siya, kasama po ang Vice President doon. Bakit ngayon na lumalabas ang mga witnesses na laban sa kanya, sasabihin niya, bakit tinatanggap ng Senado ang mga aminadong parte din ng isang scam? Sinabi din po ng Vice President nung panahon na yon, ang panawagan na sumipot or dumating sa mga hearing ang mga sekretary dahil sila po ay may pananagutan sa tao. Pero ngayon po, siya mismo ay ayaw pumunta, ayaw pong sumipot at ayaw pong tumistigo. Sinabi din po ng ating Vice President sa napakaraming speech niya, dun mismo po sa Makati, na kailangan ituloy ang mga hearing. Bakit ngayon po ang gabi ginagawang araw at ang araw pong ginagawang gabi? For the record, Mr. President, the lawyer of the Vice President said we are violating their rights because we presume them guilty. We do not presume them guilty. Mahirap man sagutin ang ating mga tanong, it's to get to the truth. At hindi po tayo ang nagja-judge dito. Committee report ang gagawin, ang tao ang nagja-judge sapagkat pinapanood po nila ang mga hearings na to. To cross-examine, sabi ng ating Vice President, bali wala lahat ng testimonya dahil ayaw daw pa-cross-examine. Welcome po siya at welcome lahat na i-cross-examine sila. Welcome po ang mga kakampi niya sa Senado na dumalo. Pero desisyon po nila na mag-boycott at ayaw po nila mag-attend. Welcome din po ang Vice President and let me put it on record. I am moving that we suspend the rules when he comes here to allow him to cross-examine the witnesses para mapakita niya na nagsisinungaling sila. Pero kung totoo sinasabi nila, malulusutan nila yung cross-examination. Lastly, Mr. President, ang sabi, si Senator Alan at si Senator Sani lang ang nagtatanong. Bakit po? Kasalanan po ba namin pag hindi dumating yung ibang senador? Pati po yung mga senador na naniniwala sa kanya. Siya po ang kausapin nila, hindi po kami ni Senator Trillanes, kasi kami naman po nandito para malaman ang buong katotohanan. Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, we cannot change our rules for the B-Nice. Kung ano ang batas natin sa pinakamaliit at hamak na Pilipino, wala man trabaho, mahirap. Yun din ang rules natin sa pinakamakapangyarihan o maging Vice President man siya ng ating bansa. Ang sabi po, follow your own rules. Ito po ang rules na ginawa natin sa fertilizer, sa ZTE, sa swine, scam, sa cash gift giving sa Malacanang. Ito din po ang rules na ginagawa natin sa helicopter na second hand, sa PCSO, sa lahat po ng inimbestigahan ng Senado. So Mr. President, let me put on record, bago nating isara yung hearing sa Makati Parking Building or Makati Building 2, no? Or Makati Parking Building. Welcome po ang kampo ng mga Binay i-submit ang kahit anong ebidensya. Welcome sila magpadala ng mga witnesses nila na magte-testify dito. We will go out of our way to accommodate him. If we have to go to his office, we have to go to the City Hall of Makati, which Senator Trillanes and Senator Pimentel did. Kasi trabaho lang po ito, walang personalan. Nung panahon po ni... secondly, Mr. Chairman, no, I think I made my point already. Nung panahon ni Presidente Arroyo, iba ang ginagawa ng ating Vice President, ngayon naman po nagbago din. Ito po ay kinakalat sa syudad ng Makati ngayon. Etong tama na, sobra na. Binabahay-bahay po to at bawat opisina ay pinamimigay. Hindi ko na po ito sasagutin isa-isa dahil sayang po oras, nandito po lahat ng ating witnesses, sabik na po ang iba na marinig at matanong kung totoo ang sinasabi nila. But let me just point out a couple of things, no? Unang-una, tinitira po nila dito si Senator Trillanes at ang inyong lingkod at ang sinasabi na banggit sa Napoles PDAF scam. Hindi po totoo na involved kami doon and in fact, payag ako magpa-cross-examine kay Ms. Napoles at kahit Makati City Council ang gusto mag-imbestiga sa PDAF scam, pupunta ako doon at kami haharap. Pero matatandaan ko po ang Vice President ang nagsabi na yung kanyang dalawang kakampi, si Senator Enrile at Senator Jinggoy, ay hindi binibigyan ng due process. At mismo mga kakampi niya dito sa hall na to at dyan po sa lounge ang nagsabing itigil na yung hearing na yan. Bakit ngayon po ang sinasabi sa mga taga Makati? Mas importante yon. Bakit konti ang hearing nun? Pero sa media, ang sinasabi nila, sobra ang hearing ng Napoles. Pangalawa po, linaw-linaw dito. Ang testimonya at mga dokumento na nagpapatunay na hindi overpriced ang paggawa ng Makati City Hall ay sinabit daw sa committee. Nasaan po yun, Mr. Chairman? Hanggang ngayon, hindi ako nakakakita ng dokumento na sinabmit ng City of Makati na nagpapatunay na walang overprice. Nasaan din po ang testimonya? Lahat po nang nag-testify dito, nung krinos-examine natin, pati mismo ang anak ng mayor, anak ni Vice President, mismong si Mayor Junjun nagsabing, oo nga, baka overpriced. Kasi hindi niya alam ang presyo. Pangalawa po, Mr. Chairman, nakalagay dito, ano ang sabi ng COA? Walang overprice at ang gastos dito ay reasonable. Mismo pong chairman ng COA ang nagsabing hindi nila sinabi at hindi pa tapos ang audit. And finally, Mr. Chair, ayon sa kinatawan ng mga kontratista, ang ginastos sa Makati City Hall 2 ay kapareho lang o mas mura o iba pa sa government buildings. Mismo po ang Hillmarks ang nagsabi nung 2 hearings ago. Yung batasang pambansa ay 35,000 per square. Hindi katulad sa commercial ng ating Vice President na nakalagay 70,000. Sila po ang nag-adjust na 70,000. Ang presyo po na sinabi ng ating mahal na Speaker of the House, hindi garahe ang building ng Kongreso. So Mr. President, I'm looking around kaliwa at kanan. Last 5 o 6 hearing, marami po nandito mga taga Makati ang sagot, hindi ko alam. Ngayon naman po, wala naman sila dito. So wag po natin banatan ang rules ng Senado or ang hearing na to. Sila po ang wala dito. We're here to work and we're here to follow the rules. On that note, Mr. Chairman, I agree with your decision and we're ready to defend it in court because it is the rules that Congress has applied, that the Senate has applied to all hearings of similar nature. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Cayetano. Let me instruct the Secretariat to furnish the movants a copy each of our resolution in writing, and I will sign it. So may I call on the Director General now to recognize our witnesses and resource persons present here. May we call on Hillmarks? Please, I have questions for Hillmarks and COA. COA, please, come forward. COA, the technical audit specialists of COA, please. Pero technical audit din sa